What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Well, welcome in to the stream. Sorry it's a bit late. There we go. Sorry it's a bit late, people. We've been busy. We were meant to do this on Sunday or Saturday, but so been so busy with stuff, with moving things around. As you can see, new setup as it is. So yeah, welcome everybody anyway to our match reaction to our 0-0 drawless goal to Charlton Athletic. As you can see, new camera, new everything pretty much. Nick's in chat. Hey DB, well, how are you, Nick? Hopefully you're all okay. Hopefully you well, as you can tell by the title of this, it's not exactly a great title, you know, 0-0 goalless draw at Charlton. We had opportunities, but we'll get into that. We will. Hopefully everyone's okay. Hopefully having a good week at the moment. We was live on Twitch yesterday, just doing a bit of gaming. We was, so if you want to catch me doing some gaming, go subscribe to my Twitch channel. Link is in the below description. But yeah, today we're going to talk about obviously Friday night, where we streamed our watch along against Charlton Athletic away at the Valley. Very interesting game it was. I honestly thought we was going to win it. Charlton, obviously, you know, they're one of them teams that are very tipsy-topsy. You know, we beat them at home. We had a good game at them at Loftus Road. But the problem is, their team has been a lot strengthened in January than ours. And they gave us a good game, but we just couldn't get a finish. That was it. We just are pretty much our strikers, really, but ain't doing the job. So yeah, but we'll get into that now. Anyone else in the chat? Anybody else there? Apart from Nicky boy. I know we're a bit early today. We're a bit early, 5:30 obviously. Usually on a bit later at 7ish. Cool, we'll get into it now. Right, so as you can see, QPR drew 0-0 on Friday night at Charlton Athletic down south. London derby. Was it a great game? It was alright, you know. It was one of them games where I thought we should have won for sure, like I said at the start. We put a good team out, I think. The team that we put out was Joe Walsh in goal, Davis, Cook, Dunn and Edwards, Hayden, Madsen, midfield with Smith, Vale, Sato and Kone, pretty much all the attackers. Now, obviously they had Lennon Dykes and Kelman on the pitch, ex-QPR players, obviously. It was a bit of a weird game because Connor Cody did have a bit of a clash with, I believe it was Harvey Vale, who kicked him in the head. Very by accident. He was challenging for the ball, he was, so yeah. But obviously any head injury is a concerning one, so yeah. Next says, with all the draws lately, I can't help but think the injuries are killing us. Even our second striker is injured, so no chance to change it. So yeah, I don't know, if you're Matt Burrell was probably our first striker, I would say, you know, with how it's going at the moment, so yeah. But yeah, as you can see, I've put it there, the team. Joe Walsh got an 8.2, Davis 7.8, Cook got man of the match on FootMob, but Joe Walsh actually got the man of the match on the day with Sky Sports. Steve Cook got 8.3, Dunn 7.7, Edward 7.1, Hayden 7.8, Madsen 8.1 as always, Smith 6.7, Vale 6.7, Sato 6.3, Kone 6.4. So listen, look, I'll say this, you know, in the game, let's just go through this. Right, where is that gone? I need to look at the commentary. So yeah, well, we went into game pretty well. We did. Our match momentum was okay. It wasn't the best in the first half. Second half, sorry, was really good. Second half was a lot better than the first. So the first half, when we went into it, it was pretty much all Charlton. Charlton were creating a threat for us, you know. They weren't very dominating in the sense of possession-wise, but they were very good at putting the ball more in attacking areas than we did in the first half. We kind of sat back a little. You know, there was opportunities for us in that first half that I would say was risky, but it was pretty much all Charlton in that first half. It was. Then obviously, team talk wise happened. You know, we needed to make a change. You know, no, I don't think any subs were done, but our match momentum was a lot better in the second half. You know, we started really well with the attack. You know, we had so many opportunities. We did, but we just couldn't finish them. You know, far as I'm aware, the only opportunities that were really great was the Collie one right at the end, which he obviously missed. Well, not missed, but saved. He missed. It should have been hit a lot better. I'll say that it should have been hit a lot better. The shot itself was not great whatsoever. It needs to be better finishing. We know Collie can do better. We know Kone can do better. We've seen it in training and videos and stuff like that. And then it comes to, obviously, are we missing our biggest threat up front, which is Burrell. You know, Burrell was one of the top goal scorers at the club. You know, he's kicked it really well into that first half. Bit late he was to it. Let me just mute this. Sorry, people. Yeah, he was a bit late to it. But he proved me wrong when I judged him, like I said. So, yeah. Like, the team that we put out, I thought was really well. Like I said, 58 ball possession is really good. A lot better. Total shots, 18. But I would say Charlton had the better momentum in the sense of big chances and 3. You know, Lyndon Dykes had an opportunity in the second half, I believe. Charlie Kelman was pretty quiet in the end. You know, but I will start off with this, right? I'm very pleased with one thing at QPR at the moment, and that's the defense. The defense has been really well, really good. You know, I really went to put out something about our defensive ability about Steve Bold, and then I held it off just because of the West Ham game was a lot different. When we played West Ham, our defense looked really incredible. You know, it's something that I've wanted to see from the start of the season. You know, when you have someone like Steve Bold coming in to do defensive abilities with the whole squad and the whole team, and, you know, in each, like, group, going from under whatever it is to the first team, you know, he's pretty meant to be a pretty decent, one of the best, you know, at Arsenal. He was at defensive abilities. And we've only just noticed that now against West Ham, and ever since the West Ham game, our defensive ratings have been off the roof. You know, Steve Cook, constant team of the week. Jimmy Dunn's been brilliant. Amadou's probably going to struggle to get back into that team with Edwards at right back doing really well. Davis, he's up to his game since Edwards has started, you know. Since Edwards been starting, Davis seems a lot better. Madsen, unbelievable player, honestly doing really well this season, you know, and will continue. Hayden had a pretty impressive game, a lot better, but there was certain mistakes that he made in that first half with the passing. Can be a lot better, but fingers crossed Varane comes back, or whoever it is he wants to go in there. You know, we've lost Sanfield to go to Norwich on loan for the rest of the season. So we've got a lot to do on the midfield wise and allowing certain players to play. Our attack wise right now, though, is a disgrace. I will say that, you know, we are scoring goals here and there, but when you have Kone not scoring goals and he's in a drought yet again, it's kind of them things where is injuries to our forward line causing the issue and having an issue, because Dembele's now out again. You know, I'll talk about this after, but Dembele, another ACL injury, another serious knee injury in two seasons. Not looking good. Not looking good for QPR, honestly. That is just, I know his injury was a bit of a accident on the pitch, you know, but the fact that it's gone really bad, you know. So we won't be seeing Dembele, and it come at a stage where the window was shut. So right now, all we have is we got to rely on our players to get back in fitness and get back. You know, Collie might have to be used now a lot more on that wing. So yeah, but Vale has been impressive lately. Unfortunately, Charlton was a bit of a dead game. Vale, but apart from that, he's been really impressive. Sato, I feel like he's a bit lost at the moment. Sato, really want to see him do well again. But I personally think he does better in the middle for QPR. Harvey Vale can play on the right, so that might be something Julian can look at. Paul Smith, brilliant player. Ooh, lovely attitude, great attitude, never say never attitude, let die type of thing. So yeah, I would personally say Paul Smith right now, playing is helping us a lot better. But it's just that forward line, that Kone scenario where if he's not getting balls to him in the right position, in the right area that he wants it, it's going to be a bit of a difficult problem for him. He's got to improve, whether it's working in a different way that he needs to score goals, or we need to start putting him through in the way he wants to, you know, delivering him in there. Because it's looking like a Gyökeres situation, like at Arsenal. It really is. But we're missing injuries. Burrell obviously needs to come back. You know, the new striker signing from Coventry got straight away injured, which is not great. Chair is back in training, so hopefully we see him back for the next game. You know, Jake Clarkson, I'm not going to talk about Jake Clarkson. I think he's a great defender, but yet again, injury problems. I don't see him staying at that club for much longer if it keeps going on. Why are you spending God knows how much wage on him just to be playing 10 games a season? You know, it's not great. It's not great business for QPR either. You know, I like Jake Clarkson. I think he's a terrific player. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's injuries that he's constantly getting, it's not going to work. So, yeah. Steve Cook has obviously done well. So, right now, whether they keep him on after this season, we'll see what happens. But I would say right now, injury problems are killing us up front. We're missing our goal scorers, and that's where the goals are lacking, I think. You know, Kone, obviously, people probably going to say you can't make the excuse of Kone doing it, you know, at the club. Kone is a brilliant striker, but unfortunately, unless you have certain ways that you're going to give him the ball, it's not going to go well for him. So, yeah. But apart from that, the defensive ability right now at QPR has been impressive and really well. So that is really positive. Joe Walsh. I would say this right now about Joe Walsh. I would say whatever he's done and he's doing, he's really impressed me in the last, this year completely, 2026. You know, he's been really impressive. Oh, hang on. He's been really impressive. I think a lot of work has gone down in training for him. You know, coming back from injury if it was a really bad break to the wrist. And I honestly believe him and Cooper that comes back, I honestly think the likely chances are it's going to be one of them things where who are you going to play, you know? I like Cooper up over Joe Walsh because of the way he plays. He's very attacking threat, Cooper is, let alone Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is more of a classic English goalkeeper, defensive goalkeeper. But like I said, Joe Walsh has been impressive, and anyone wants to hate on him, cool, that's up to you. But I will give him his dues. He had a terrific game against Charlton. You know, I don't know if it was the best game, but he had a terrific game against Charlton. So yeah. But yeah, go from there. 0-0 it ended. Not the most impressive first half, but like I said, second half was a lot better with the attack as well. We got to improve, you know, on our bench wise. We're playing a lot of youngsters at the moment because of injuries. But we got next. Who have we got next? We got Blackburn at home on Saturday, is it? I believe it's Saturday, yeah. At 3 o'clock kickoff. You know, we're sitting 13th at the moment. You know, from 13th to 6th, you know, it's pretty much a close one at the moment. Very close. So it's going to be very, very interesting for the rest of the season. You know, we're halfway there. And yeah, it's going to be interesting where we finish and what happens there. You know, recent performances, Charlton, draw, Coventry beat, we lost to Wrexham, unlucky that game that was, 0-0, you know, draws have been consistent, so clean sheets and defending wise, 3 clean sheets, 3, you know, it's really decent for us, you know, we're showing a lot better defensive ability, but like I said, attacking wise, hopefully, Blackburn, we see that threat again, you know, I want to see certain players back, so we'll go from there. Right, what we have in the chat, Nick says, like you said, DB, we played okay, better after the JS chat, but just wasn't to be. Nick says, the other striker I meant to say was the guy from Coventry, which was fit when we brought him, but now recently injured. It's just like playing with one hand behind your back without any options. That's just where we are until two or two bodies are back. Maybe Cook needed that extra bit of time and matches to get back to showing how good he is. AV says, apparently Varane and Chair were training yesterday but won't be ready for Blackburn, and Jay is back in training. Well, it's good to see they're back in training, but like I said, training doesn't mean shit to me. Training is literally just saying that they're getting back to fitness. But it's going to take them 2 to 3 weeks to be fit, proper fit, to be chosen into the squad, unless he really needs a sub. So yeah. Nick says, I know the frustration with the draws, but at the end of the day, you pick up points away and win at home, it's still good. I agree with that, Nick. I said this at the start of the season, you know. I'm not really too fussed about away games. I said home games we need to treat like our fortress. You know, that's where we need to keep our home games, as in the sense of wins only. No losses, no draws. Wins is a must. Away games, a draw is brilliant. A loss, obviously, listen, look, it's gonna happen. You know, you're not gonna win every game. We're not invincibles or anything like that. You know, we've come close to, obviously, with Warnock, but it's a different type of league now. So yeah. Nick also says, good example win v Blackburn, and that's 7 points from 9. Yeah, like, you know, for what we've done this month is really good. You know, I can't say, look, the Wrexham game was just one of them games where a mistake cost us wisely. You know, it should have been dealt with a lot better. But impressive performances in the sense of defensive ability, 100% brilliant. But attacking threat has just not been there. And it's just that simple. So yeah. But it's like that, really. That's all it is. So yeah, we have Blackburn next. We do. You know, obviously Sandfield's gone now to Norwich. We'll see what happens there. AB says, I don't know if you have already mentioned it, but what do you think of the new playoff rules the Championship are likely to have next season? I would say money. As always, it's their way to get more money for certain things. Listen, look, I'm not gonna sit here and say no to it, because one, for starters, it's more football. It's great. More football, the better. You know, some players in big leagues need to understand, if you're getting paid 300 grand, 400 grand a week, don't moan about how much you play. You know, you're getting paid that much to play. You know, and so half of the time you're on the bench. You know, Championship clubs, I get it. Highest paid, probably 20 grand, 30 grand. You know, it's understandable. But at the end of the day, it's all about money. You know, it's all about money. I think, to be honest, personally, it's one thing that you're probably going to see. But I think right now, playoff-wise, in the sense of that, okay, cool, it sounds great. But right now, what we need to look into is the reffing and the decision making and VAR and stuff like that in the Championship. You know, I know a lot of people hate VAR, but the problem is there's so many decisive situations that could go on about in the Championship that's happened that needs to be looked into. You know, but it's a more you know, more spots to get into the finals. You know, it sounds great. If they do it, they do it. So it'll be from 3rd till 8th, won't it? It'll be great, to be honest. It's just 2 extra spots for us. So yeah, I don't see any problem with it. It's not like they've mentioned like to, you know, a certain amount. You know, I would prefer it from 3rd till 10th, but you know, it's not gonna happen. But we'll see what happens next season. At the end of the day, you know, the rules are more important to me in the Championship. You know, decision making with referees and linesmen and 4th officials have been really bad this season, and half of the time it's cost very much the game for QPR and other clubs as well. So yeah. But yeah, we go again. Actually no, hang on, is there something that I need? Is there something to talk about? There was. I can't remember. There was something to talk about. Oh man, I can't remember. That's bad. That's bad. There was something I was going to speak about. Obviously with QPR, in a sense of player, but I can't remember wisely. I know Sandfield's gone. I wasn't going to talk about Sandfield. I can't remember who I was going to talk about now. So, yeah. All right. Well, oh shit. Well, if I remember it, we'll talk about it in tomorrow's preview for Blackburn. We will put it out tomorrow. It'll be much easier to do it tomorrow, to be honest. So yeah. Apart from that, we'll leave it there for today. I know it's a bit late for this match reaction for this. I know it's pretty much almost a week late, but we got Blackburn at home on the 14th Feb, 3 o'clock kickoff. Was it Zanceller? No, it wasn't Zanceller, Nick. It wasn't Zanceller. I think Zanceller's gone. Next season, Zanceller's gone, I think. It's looking that way. So, yeah. But, right, we're going to leave it there for today. We'll be live tomorrow for our match preview. We will. You know, we've got everything sorted out now. Setup is looking a lot better. Hopefully you like it. But apart from that, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. And we'll catch you tomorrow for our match preview against Blackburn. Apart from that, peace, love, positivity. Have a great day. And enjoy the rest of the week, I guess. Cheers, Nick. Cheers, AB, for tuning in. And anyone else there who's tuned in. Shout outs, obviously, to Nick and AB for tuning into the chat. Communication. Always great to see people getting involved in the stream. Much love, much appreciation. Apart from that, peace out, boys. Catch you in a bit.